Hey, beautiful. So, sitting here pondering in my prayer room and going back and forth with myself about a perfect time when realistically there is no perfect time. God's time is perfect. And according to his will is how things will happen in our lives. We think we have control, but we really don't. We think that we can plan our way into so many different things, but if God calls us to do something different, then we have to forfeit whatever it is that we're doing ourselves to be obedient to his Holy Spirit. In his word, he explains to us that there's a time for everything. Ecclesiastes 3 says, "For everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to cry and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to turn away, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be quiet and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace." What do people really get for all their hard work? I have seen the burden God has placed on us all. Yet God has made everything beautiful for its own time. He has planted eternity in the human heart. But even so, people cannot see the whole scope of God's work from beginning to end. So I concluded there is nothing better than to be happy and enjoy ourselves as long as we can. And people should eat and drink and enjoy the fruits of their labor, for these are gifts from God. And I know that whatever God does is final. Nothing can be added to or taken away from it. God's purpose is that people should fear him. What is happening now has happened before, and what will happen in the future has happened before, because God makes the same thing happen over and over again. Basically, in this, God is showing us that he's the controller of time. So a lot of times we think that we have control over the narrative of our lives, the narrative of why we were born in a such family, or why we had to go to this school, or why we worked at this job, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is we have no control over God's time because his timing is of the essence. So it's not by happenstance that we are where we are in life. It's not by happenstance that we have come to the realization that it's time for us to do something different. It's not by this miraculous thing that we've come up with in our own mind. God created us, and he created us with a purpose. He created us to do his will according to his plan for his kingdom on this earth. And we all have a time to do things. There's a certain window of time that we're supposed to do the things that God called us to do, because tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And if we were to come here, be full of all these beautiful gifts and talents and produce all of these beautiful things, but do all of them and we didn't do anything for God, what do we do it for? My biggest fear is that I leave this earth full of all the things that God called me to do. But I contradict myself, because as much as that is a big fear of mine, I get in my own way. I overthink. I talk myself out of blessings. I talk myself out of confidence or the things that God has shown me, because I think I'm supposed to have the answers, or it's supposed to be a perfect walk, or I'm supposed to look perfect doing it, or whatever the case may be. But the reality is, if God called you to something, if he's tugging on your heart to do something, then you just have to do it. There's not a perfect time. Not that we can come up with anyway. But he has the perfect time in his hands for his kingdom and his will that he created far before you came here. He called us to be the prophets to his nation way before we were even placed in our mother's bellies. So if he loved us that much, and he's been with us through every single thing that we could ever do, think, or imagine, Why do we think we have control over what happens in our lives? What we have to do is make the choice to follow his Holy Spirit. What we have to do is be in relationship with him. Be intentional about the time we spend getting to know him. Not only asking him for things, but really taking the time to be at a place of rest with him. We have to heal. We have to discover. We have to learn who God is in order to even learn who we are. And he'll show us. He's a gentleman. He's not going to force his hand. He's not going to force us to show him access. But he will wait patiently. He'll give us silent nudges. He'll give us people that'll come and remind us of who we are. He'll even come down in the deep with us to remind us that he created us with greater purpose. He'll allow circumstances to remind us or bring us back to him. But we just have to choose him. Literally choose him. Don't forget, there's a time for everything, and his timing is perfect. He makes no mistakes. He's intentional. He's strong. He sees it all. He's been there before. He chose us on purpose, for his purpose. Love you. Be blessed.